All right, so I will go ahead and get started on the superheroine side. Hello. Thank you for joining us for our first ever Superheroines Con. I'm Whitney Reisner, and I am the board president for Superheroines, etc., and my pronouns are she and her. For those of you who might not be familiar with who we are, Superheroines, etc. is a 501c3 nonprofit that fights for representation and inclusion in geek culture. We serve a growing community of women via monthly member-driven events that range from a graphic novel book club to our women's GMing cohort. If you would like to learn more, you can visit us online at superheroinesetc.org, or you can see us after this panel. We do also encourage you to engage with us on social media by using the hashtag SheCon2020. Okay. As we begin, I invite you to join in acknowledging the land that we occupy that sustains us. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who have contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hopes of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to uncover what has been buried by acknowledging that we are not the first stewards of this land, of the lands that we call home, honoring previous tenders and expressing gratitude to our access to the land. Because the virtual environment of this con, we are coming from all over the United States, and we are representing the traditional land of many people. I encourage you to go to native-land.ca to learn more about where you live and share in the comments. We pay respects to the elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that brings us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events. Acknowledgement is the beginning. After this event, we encourage you to learn more. I will say during the presentation, when there are other speakers, please go ahead and mute your mics. And if you have any questions, we will be monitoring in the chat as well. And I will hand it over to, I hope I say it right, Bayana?
Oh, Bayana.
Bayana, I'm so sorry.
All good. I am co-founder and editor-in-chief of Black Girl, which is a hub for Black creators and critical fandom. We do a lot of things in a lot of places, but kind of at the core of it, it's very much trying to like help folks on the journey of like consuming things to then also creating their own things. And so we spend a lot of time, like we nerd out and we do a lot of stuff like with our favorite, you know, pop culture, like touch points, but at the same time, we kind of encourage folks to take those things and kind of turn that into inspiration for their own kind of creations, mostly in the form of writing at this point, but also that could take lots of different forms. So, yeah.
Awesome. And then,
can I fangirl for a moment?
Always.
I love your newsletter.
Oh, thank you.
I love it so much. I look forward to it every week, and I'm like, oh my God, what's in it now?
Okay. I'll call Deborah. Yeah, I'll let Deborah know, who like does our newsletter every week and like has for, it was like it's supposed to be a temporary thing, and then she just kind of like made it so great, and it just is like, yeah, I'm like really glad that she's doing it, because it would not get done if she didn't do it. So
it is so good. I get a lot of like nonprofit newsletters and stuff for work, and all sorts of newsletters for all sorts of stuff. It is like the number one that I actually read every week and pay attention to because it is amazing.
Oh, yay. Okay. Thank you. I'm definitely gonna let her know because I'm sure that will make her day.
All right. And then what, Chelsea, were you the one that kind of organized all of this? Compiled? I don't know.
Kind of. So yeah, this is going to be a really loose format. So I just wanted to give people the opportunity to share their creativity in a way that not only calls to Cincinnati history with our long line of wonderful salons that happened in the 19th, 20th, and 21st century, the Semicolon Club, for example. I just wanted us to have the opportunity to, like push along some of those positive vibes and to share things that we were working on, things that were on our hearts. So I hope tonight everybody, I know that Amanda, Whitney, and Carolyn have pieces to share. Bayana, do you have a piece to share?
I can read something.
Okay, awesome. So the way that I'm thinking about it is this. I want to give you the opportunity to share your piece, so you'll read it out loud. But while we're reading, I want us to engage in, while everyone else is reading, I want us to engage in active listening. So if we were face to face, we would be, looking at one another, nodding along, giving that back channel feedback. But one of the ways that we can do that when we, are virtual, I would love if you pulled up like an extra Google Doc or a piece of paper. And if someone has an image or an idea or a line that you really like, scribble that down. At the end of the session, we'll do something called Golden Lines, where it turns into this like really cool improvisational poem, where we kind of popcorn around and share those really nice images. So that is what will happen at the end of this session, but you'll read. We'll take an opportunity to go around and say something that we liked or a suggestion that we might have about the piece, and then we'll go on to the next person. At the end of the time, we will do Golden Lines. Does anybody have any questions about sort of the order of ceremonies?
No, that sounds good to me.
Okay, awesome. So to maybe help break the ice a little bit, I thought maybe I would go first. You guys okay with that? So I know I have been, since I floated this idea to you, Carolyn, promising you She-Ra, but season 2 of the Umbrella Academy came out and I'm obsessing. So I had to get some Vanya thoughts out there. This is a poem that I've been working on. I don't really have the end of it stuck yet. So as I read, hopefully you guys can maybe give me an idea, or whatever. But I'll go ahead and read. Make sure you have your either piece of paper or your Google Doc up for Golden Lines, and then we will rock it. Okay. So I'm calling this Vanya. Diego says I am the bomb. I am always the bomb that destroys in a raw wave of self-immolation and inexpressible rage. 5 says I am his in furtive glances and deadpan snark that belies the lights left on, the peanut butter and marshmallow memories. Allison chooses silence, chooses to wound me with a loving stare, and I can't help but love her harder, sometimes despite myself. Luther is an ellipsis. Who am I? I am a concertina for one, a drowned shipwreck slowly surfacing. One day I may be Vanya. That's my poem.
Yay!
Also, welcome, Cassie.
Hey, Cassie.
Sorry, I was still taking my notes. I'm not as quick of a handwriter as I thought I once was.
Oh, no worries. So I'll just kind of pop around my little square to see if anybody had any feedback. Carolyn?
So I don't watch The Umbrella Academy. It's too violent for me. I tried and then it gave me bad dreams.
Yeah,
but I do think I know who this character is. And I liked how you kind of jumped around to like the perspectives of the other siblings from the Umbrella Academy and like her reflection on what they thought about her.
Thank you. Bayana? Bayana,
yes.
Bayana, sorry.
Yeah, I think like I also have not. I've watched like the first couple episodes of the Umbrella Academy, and mean to go back, but it has taken me some time. But I do really like the descriptive language that you use. I feel like I can very much see, like the metaphors that you're bringing up, and so yeah, it seems really strong.
Thank you. Whitney?
So I have read nor watched anything to do with Umbrella Academy. I know nothing, like this much. So I was coming at it more just from it being a piece of poetry. And the way that you use to describe your main talker, I love that I could feel those descriptions. And I do just kind of want to point out, like, the line that I wrote down was a drowned shipwreck slowly surfacing, and that just hit so hard. And like, you just felt that, and it kind of, even though that was kind of how you ended, I felt like you had that rocking motion throughout the whole piece, and you just kind of felt that way through it. So that's kind of my feedback.
Thank you. Amanda?
I do watch Umbrella Academy. I just started watching season 2. I think it's awesome. So yes, that did resonate very well. What it struck me as was like, I grew up on like AMVs, watching, anime music videos that fans had made. And so like when you were reading this, it felt like I wanted to watch like key images of her. Like it was bringing to mind images from the show. And I was like, that would be so cool if this was read over like a little character focused trailer or something like that. So I like it.
Thank you. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. Cassie, so we are within the Writer's Salon right now. I just read, and then we're going through and providing feedback on all of our pieces. During this too, when people are reading, I'm encouraging you to have like a pencil and paper or a fresh Google Doc so you can write down some of the lines that you really enjoy so we can practice active listening too.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Do you have something to share today, Cassie?
No, probably not.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Whitney, are you ready to share?
Yes. So, just a little bit of background on this piece. I have been wanting to get back into writing, and I've been kind of using Superheroines Con as like my creative inspiration and just kind of like getting me motivated and getting me back in the right mindset. Because all of us are, at least writers in some way, shape, or form. You really have to be in the right mindset. So this piece is actually an old piece. And what I've been doing to kind of get back into that mindset is I've been going in and reworking old pieces and cleaning them up fixing them up, also kind of like revamping them, taking out things and replacing it. So this is an old piece. Parts of it are from 2006, parts of it are from 2014, and parts of it are from 2020. So it's short, but yeah, okay. It is a poem called Memories. Sorry. The shattered glass of a jar high above, containing the loveliest pain of bittersweet memories. Consequences fade to the stars, anything better than the silence. Moving on cannot be chosen, deeper, oh so, than before. The wind carries the name, music tells the story. Can time still for escape, for emotion to survive until the end? Giving all flows like dreams. Everything is the sign. No reverberation left. Paths lead to haven. Always remember, but never forget. That's it.
Whitney, that's beautiful. I love it. Snaps. So one of the things that I really liked about your piece was the imagery that you were using. So you were knitting together all of these really interesting similes that, you know, come together in me when I'm listening to it. I'm thinking about this person that's trying to knit themselves back together as well. So for me, like I was imagining like people like, you know, like putting yourself literally back together, almost like the Tin Man, like with the oil can in The Wizard of Oz. That was really well done. And one of my favorite lines from that was consequences fade to the stars. Mwah, chef's kiss. Magnifique. Amanda?
All right. I really like it. I think I agree with the comment on the imagery, and I have the privilege, I'll say, of being able to have read it before this sharing, but hearing you read it out loud was like really more like, you know, a lot more poignant, and it's good stuff. And I think that there is also some good symbolism there of just how you keep, like, this is a poem about memories and, you know, piecing together, and the fact that you came back to it and that you've kept this piece and you've worked on it like throughout. You're like making your own memory but also writing about memories. So I think it's cool. I liked it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Carolyn?
Technology. I'm always like, where's the button? I know exactly where the button is. So I think the thing that really resonated with me about it is that it was broad enough that anyone could really see themselves reflected in it. It wasn't so specific that you know, people couldn't connect. Like it was, and there was enough specifics in there, but it kind of had a feeling like anyone could feel this too.
Very good. Ayana?
I really like emotions. You can feel that in the words. I also wrote down like that line a lot. So
Cassie, did you want to share?
Yeah, so I really liked it too. And as Carolyn was saying, like I felt like I connected with it, like, you know, going through and I started to put my thoughts and my own memories. And I really liked, you know, you said music tells a story and then kind of said the line reverberation afterwards. And I liked that connection to sound. And it just made me like think of like my memories and like because I am a big music person, like, and I don't know if that's what you're going for or not, but like it made me think of like how I connect different pieces with times in my life. And so I think there was a lot to offer, and so I really liked it.
Agreed. It makes me think of something one of my creative writing teachers told me a long time ago, that you're supposed to show and don't tell. And you are so good at that. Like, major snaps. That's awesome. Amanda, do you want to share?
Yes, and mine, I feel like mine is so long. It's when I read it to myself, it was under 5 minutes, but mine is actually a prologue for a novel I was working on years and years ago. And I'm hoping, I mean, just the act of sharing this is already a great thing, but I had pretty much stopped writing because I fell away from it. I didn't get a lot of support of like, I didn't seek out groups to read and like give me some feedback. And I know people are very busy, and when I'm like, I have a novel I wrote is 27 chapters, do you want to see it? That's like a big commitment. So I'm not like, nobody cares, but I kind of hit a wall and needed to bounce ideas, and I just didn't have that outlet. So anyhow, it is hopefully it's not too scary. It is an urban fantasy horror novel, but it's just the prologue. So, anyway. All right. I'm trying to get this under 5 minutes. Oh, the story is called Insight. The sun was sinking fast into the jagged city skyline. The tall buildings of downtown San Jose plunged the city prematurely into shadows, as if eager to welcome the night. Sister Mary Regina was standing in the church's small courtyard, supervising a few of the group home's girls. They were supposed to be raking leaves in silence, but neat piles of leaves were nearly irresistible to children, and all it had taken was a hushed giggle. The task was quickly devolving into a leaf-flinging battle. The sister knew she should intervene, but she was taking a rare moment to enjoy their laughter. It evoked a mixture of contentment and sadness as images of her Abigail danced behind her eyes. It had been 6 years since her niece had turned 18 and was promoted from the group home. The girl had excelled in college and had started a successful career, but Mary Regina couldn't help worrying about her. There was so much she'd planned to teach her, yet the time had slipped too quickly away. Now Abigail seemed determined to distance herself from St. Clair's home as much as possible. The wind blew, sending a chill through Mary Regina's body and effectively snatching her from her reverie. She noticed the eldest girl, Olivia, staring off into the distance. This was not unusual for the girl, who often was taken to daydreams and staring meaningfully at nothing. The sister glanced across the street following the girl's line of sight and froze. There was a man staring back at Olivia, hunched against the wall of the adjacent building. Seeming to feel her gaze, the man turned his yellow eyes on Mary Regina. I see you. His whisper crackled in her mind, expanding like ice. Girls, back inside, now. The severity in her voice made all of the girls fall silent, including, regarding Mary Regina with confusion. Now, she barked. The girls quickly obeyed. Olivia followed more slowly and waited in the doorway for Mary Regina once the others were inside. Take the girl to get washed up for dinner, please. The sister's words were a command, not a suggestion. Olivia glanced suspiciously to the spot where the man had been, but saw nothing. She nodded and reluctantly obeyed. Mary Regina closed the door between them, remaining outside. She gripped the handle of the door, leaning her head against the frame, her breaths coming quicker now. She squeezed her eyes shut. This isn't happening. It's not real, she rasped. Her voice was hushed and ragged, panic squeezing her chest. She took one breath, then two. I'm just losing my mind, is all. She steeled herself and turned around. He was 2 feet from her. Mary Regina tried to scream, but he closed the distance easily, placing a hand firmly over her mouth. I'm afraid I'm very real, but I'm here on business, so I'd appreciate skipping the hysterics. The man's face was inches from Mary Regina's. His irises were ringed with yellow, and the whites of his eyes were bloodshot. You're going to want to hear my offer. His hand was rough and cold, but he eased its pressure slightly. She took the opportunity to jerk her face away from his grip, although he still had her against the door. What are you talking about? Who are you? Her voice was tremulous, but she didn't scream. Who I am is not important. It's who I represent, the man said calmly. He released her, taking a step backwards. She looked him over, searching for some sort of indication of his identity. He was average in every way, to the point of being forgettable, excepting his eyes. When her eyes met his again, she felt paralyzed for a split second. The yellow seemed to glow in the waning daylight. I'm here about your niece, he said with finality. Mary Regina's heart fell into her stomach. What? Her eyelids fluttered, imagination running wild with possible ends Abigail may have met. Relax. She's all right, he assured, for the time being. All at once, the fear feeding on Mary Regina dissipated, replaced with protective rage. Are you threatening her? She asked in a low, dangerous tone, standing a bit taller. Oh, most certainly not. I could never dream of making such a threat. He had sort of a slimy elegance that didn't seem to fit his appearance. It made her skin crawl. All right then, what do you want? Mary Regina asked. She wanted to run more than anything, but she stood her ground for Abigail's sake. It's not what I want, but what we both want, I assure you. A smile twitched at his lips, but it looked somehow unnatural. It couldn't have been easy for you trying to raise her, suffering her unique differences. The sister swallowed against a lump in her throat, waiting for him to continue. How many times did you pray for her to be a normal girl with a normal life? Mary Regina felt the truth of his words, threatening to unleash the flood of tears that always seemed to be just on the verge of overflowing. Well, I'm here to answer your prayers, he crooned. Mary Regina held her breath, daring to hope. Against all logic, she found she believed he had the power to do what he said. When she didn't respond, he continued. You see, she's been getting herself into some trouble. I'm here to take action before anyone gets hurt. A few silent moments stretched between them. Of course, if you're not interested, I can explore other options. He took a step backwards. No, She took a step closer. He folded his arms, waiting. I'm interested, she whispered. He nodded. What would happen to her? She would be normal, like you've always wanted. No visions, no wandering around the night looking for trouble. How? She could no longer hide her desperation. Memory is a powerful thing, sister. What she doesn't know can't hurt her. Mary Regina's brow furrowed, trying to discern his meaning. What she doesn't know can protect her. He smiled conspiratorially to her. She stared into his otherworldly eyes, considering, already knowing this was the one thing she'd give anything for. So what do I have to do? The man held out his hand to her. The price has already been paid. We just have to shake on it. She regarded his hand suspiciously. And she won't be hurt? She won't be hurt, he confirmed. Mary Regina set her jaw and thrust her hand into his. His hand closed on hers with a grip like iron. After all, he smiled, that twitchy smile again. What price isn't worth an answered prayer? He coughed, and blood dribbled from the corner of his mouth, painting his smile red. Mary Regina gasped and tried to pull away, but he held her fast. A bloom of red appeared on his chest as blood began to soak through his shirt. His face changed. The yellow rings faded, and the harsh shadows softened. His expression twisted into fear as pain and confusion ripped through him. He staggered backwards, clutching at his chest. Who? He tried to speak, but his words were choked off by a wet, desperate cough. Mary Regina screamed. End prologue.
Wow. Stop. Amanda, that was fantastic. I have to tell you that, like, I want to read the rest of it. I want to know what happens to the guy with the yellow eyes. Is he a demon? Did somebody slay him? What's going on? And how can this special girl not be special anymore? What's the price? How has it already been paid? Dude, I'm in. I am in.
What Chelsea just said, all of that.
and your descriptions, like where you said that this guy is so normal except for being like forgettable except for his eyes. I thought that was a great description. And going back to that idea of being able to see yourself in the story, and I think that's important. It's kind of something that we talked about the other night in the history panel, that you have to be able to see yourself in a narrative. I saw myself in your prologue because, yes, I would jump in the leaves. So, awesome job. Whitney, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm having breathing issues though.
Oh no. We could come back if we need to.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Cassie.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and I would be interested in seeing more. I also thought you were a really good reader, and so like if you ever made an ebook, you could do your own ebook too, or like our audiobook is what I mean. Sorry. And yeah, I like the descriptions, and it really got me like again thinking like wanted to know more about Mary Regina and like why she wants like why is she convinced by this stranger to even consider his stuff? Like I want to know more about it.
Absolutely. Carolyn.
So I really like that from the beginning. The niece was so important. Like you definitely laid the groundwork for that really well even just in the first couple paragraphs, so that when she came up again later, it was not a surprise. Like you could tell how much this person cared about her niece.
Absolutely. Diana.
You set the tone really well, and it was like appropriately creepy. like, like I was definitely like, oh gosh, like especially when he was real and was talking to her, like, yeah, it was really good. And yeah, I definitely want to know like what happened the next, because I was like freaked out by him, but now like if he's dead, then what is happening? You know what I mean? So yeah, it was really great.
Very cool. Whitney, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
I love the fact that the description and imagery was so clear. Like I could picture the whole scene. I could picture kind of like the weather of the day, and the tone was set like super, super creepy. And I was immediately taken by that line, a leaf flinging battle, because there's children there, and so I was immediately brought into having like the children playing and laughing and giggles and leaves like jumping around, and then like automatic super creepy, there's a guy standing across the street with yellow, like I don't know if you saw the yellow eyes, but staring at you from across the street. And it was just like this perfectly creepy tone, and I loved it, and I thought you did a brilliant job of setting that.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Lindsay. So we are in the process of reading, and we're providing feedback on our pieces. Did you have a piece that you wanted to read? And second, if you have any thoughts about Amanda's piece, please feel free to share.
Thank you. I do not have a piece to read. I just popped in before the next panel because I thought what you guys were doing seemed really fun. I had a little time. And I came in like totally midway on Amanda's piece, but what I can tell you from coming in midway is that it was still like very smoothly written. Like I was immediately engaged by the storytelling. I found it like easy enough to follow or to pick up what was going on, even though I was coming in midway and didn't really have much context. Like I could immediately get a sense of some of the tropes you were playing with, some of the possible character directions you might be going. And I felt like the fact that you were reading it so well, like shows how smoothly written it was, and how like engaging and effortless your writing style is, which is really great. So I was very impressed. I'm sorry I missed the beginning, and now I want to know a lot more about all of it.
Awesome. Engaging and effortless. Yes, Amanda. Yay. Bayana?
Okay, yeah, I can read. So this is a story that I've kind of like just started. It's not done yet. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of it. But it's like a fantasy story. And yeah, so I'm just gonna read like the first, like the beginning part. It's like an early draft, but yeah. um okay. The title of the book when it becomes that is the Book of Descendants. Um yeah, and we'll see what happens after that. So knowledge can be painful. That's what I try to remind myself as the needle drags across my skin, gritting my teeth at the stinging as ink and blood wells up on the inside of my wrist. Ashe Fatima patiently wipes it away with a soft towel, leaving behind the black spider being weaved into my skin. The smell of rosemary and lavender curls into the air, smoke rising from sticks of incense placed strategically around the hut. Fatima tells an ancient story as she continues the work of Mama Aso and how she directed Baba Anansi to bring stories to the realm of Amlor, of the legacy she left behind, the magic that runs through the veins of every Ashe in the dragon's womb, mine included. A low hum laces under her words, the other high Ashes providing the foundation for Fatima's work, supporting the story that she tattoos into my arm, one I've heard countless times in my life and which is only now becoming a part of me. I recite the story along with her in my head. I could tell it in my sleep. With the ending of the story, the low hum rises into song, a drum tapping out the tempo. Fatima wipes away the last of the blood and residual ink, leaving the spider 8 legs stretching. The black ink shimmers faintly in the low light before it is covered tightly in a bandage. Even though I can't see it, the throbbing of my arm makes me all too aware of the new addition, and I can't help the smile that spreads across my lips. May your stories carry you, Halima. Fatima says, her voice strong as it rises above the music. May they guide us all, I intone, pressing 2 fingers to my forehead. With that, the ceremony is over, the final step in the 7-day preparation for my 17th birthday and the beginning of my passage tomorrow. The Ashes begin to chatter and laugh, the intense mood of the hut lifting into something light and jovial. My eyes meet Yaya's. Her mouth presses into a hard line, and I feel the shame crawl up my spine before I can even figure out what it is I've done wrong. I wait for my grandmother to approach me as the other Ashes leave the hut, staring down at my feet. My eyes trace the crossing straps of my sandals, body tensed to carry her disappointment. You did well. My head shoots up in surprise. I'll stop there.
It was really good.
Thanks.
That is fantastic. Snaps. Yes. So, like, I've got so many questions. I'm loving this. Like, is the tattoo like is it a right within the family, or does it, connote magical ability or something like that? So I'm really curious about that. I also love it made me feel like I felt the first time I read Children of Blood and Bone. And it's such a good story, and it's just like taking you into, this other world. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Cool, thank you.
Amanda?
I like instantly with your like first line, the knowledge can be painful, and then putting that together with like the literal passing of knowledge and the ritual of the tattooing and just the symbolism that comes from like it's a burden that you keep carrying, and it's like a process, like a painful process to learn about the things that other people have struggled with, and but how important it is that it stays with you permanently like a tattoo. And that just, yeah, I loved it.
Thank you.
Very good. I just am gonna like piggyback on what Amanda said, because it made me remember when I studied about Mulan, like Fa Mulan, the original like piece is that her parents like tattooed the names of you know, like the people who had died before her into her back, and she carried them into battle. So again, that whole like symbolism and the idea of tattooing and what that does, that's super cool. Carolyn?
So I really liked how it like slowly unfurled at the beginning, where like I'm like, oh my god, why is there a needle? And then because I go like to the worst possible thing first. But then I'm like, oh, she's getting a tattoo. Well, you know, this person could just be like anyone getting a tattoo. But then it like you slowly like share where she is, and you like, you know, it's a ritual before you even say the word ceremony in the story. And that it was really tactile to me.
Absolutely. Cassie?
Yeah, I really liked, for one, yeah, the tattoo. It was a very nice introduction to that, and like how you use the words like weaving the spider or whatever verbiage you chose, and then like describing like the surrounding, like I could picture myself in that scene. And I also felt that there was a nice bit of world building there, and it really made me engaged of like, what I want to know more about where I am. I'm trying to picture it in my head, and I'm thinking, what is this like? And I'm trying to build the world in my head, and it was really good in that way, and I liked that a lot. So good job, yeah.
Thank you.
And also, I did find something I could share if we have time.
Oh, absolutely. We will have time. Whitney?
So a lot of things that other people have said like were kind of points that I had to talk about. But another one that I wanted to kind of point out was that I loved how like you opened up and you just initially started seeing and feeling the tattoo and the pain of the story being transferred onto you. It's not like I know anything about tattoos and pains and stories being transferred onto you. But it kind of brought you there, and you had a line that said, knowledge can be painful. And then you immediately started into with the needle on the skin and carrying you through. But then you actually circled back to that. And this is what's so important about history, and what I thought was so powerful about your piece was that you did talk about knowledge being painful, and you physically showed the pain that the character was going through. But you came back and you had a line that just hit my soul, and it said, may your stories carry you. Because not only is knowledge painful, and knowledge is something that hurts, that you have to carry and is a burden, but your stories actually carry you through. And I just thought that that was absolutely powerful. And the way you circled back to that and included this imagery that knowledge is not only pain and a burden, but it's powerful, and it can carry you and it can lift you. And I just thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks. Lindsay?
Yes, I thought it was great too. I really like your title. I think it's really strong, and I think it's actually really marketable also, and gives a good feel for the type of book that you're writing. I feel like a lot of what people are saying is like this character I feel like is really easy to connect to right away. And I think that's because, first of all, you have such a great writing voice, but also I feel like you're getting such deep point of view with this character. Like we're so much in who she is and what she's seeing and experiencing, that I think that that's really makes it easy to relate to her and understand with her, plus these great themes that you're pulling together. But I think seeing all of that through her eyes is great. And I think that's really hard to do in first person. Like first person books, which are very popular, it's like either you like a character or you don't instantly. And I think this character is like instantly likable. And I feel like that's, again, in part because what you're doing is so great, but also because like you're giving us her vulnerability straight up front. Like you're giving something that's like powerful, and like this tattoo is memorable, and you're kind of like walking us through her emotions in it, which I think is something that makes her like instantly easy to relate to, because you're tying in all these emotions that we've all felt before. And I think as someone else has said, like, your world building feels very seamless. You know, it's like you never have to like stop and explain, here's what the world is. We just see it through her eyes, and you just kind of reference it, but in a way that's like so intriguing. I'm like, oh, I need to know more about that. And like, I know that I will, like, as you get further into the story. But I feel like it feels like she's in this world, and I feel like we're seeing it through her eyes and just learning as much as we need to know as we go, which is great. Your writing style is just really evocative, I think, and I really like that about it. Yes, I think you're off to a really great start. I hope you definitely continue with it.
Cool. Thanks so much. That was super helpful.
Yay. Awesome. Carolyn, it's your turn.
All right. So I have a short poem that I wrote a little bit after I got married. So things have definitely changed since this point. But I haven't really shared anything like out loud since high school. So the poem is called "I Am the First to Rise." I am the first to rise, before the dog, before you. As soon as I am conscious, I reach for stillness. One more moment alone, before every moment belongs to everyone else. As soon as this ritual begins, it ends. And then I rush. Dog, bathroom, teeth, shower, makeup, glasses, contacts, breakfast, lunch, kiss, car. I give 8 hours so I can buy the groceries, so I can pay the rent, so I can do it all again tomorrow. And then I am making dinner and sweeping the floor and tidying the table and finding places for all the things so no one judges me for the disorder of this house. You were here or not, helping or not. And then we have a few moments. Still, you were here or not, your body here, but your mind not. I'm in bed before you because I am the first to rise.
Yes, snap.
Wow.
Very good. Oh my gosh. I just have to personally, I loved this. And one of the things that was really getting me was your rhythm in this poem. How when you're talking about those moments of stillness, you're sort of stretching out those syllables and using that rhythm to feel sorry. Oh my God, hold on. Feel still. Sometimes my like Kentucky background gets me. But then once you start rushing, you know, it gets very staccato, and teeth and hair and kiss and car. I thought that was a really great way, again, of showing the, you know, person whose point of view, you, the writer, you know, showing the perspective and like actually putting yourself in their shoes to see how they feel. That was fantastic. Whitney?
I kind of to piggyback on what Chelsea said, like just and add a little bit more. I could totally see everything through the eyes of the speaker, and I felt and I followed through and I felt through the emotions. I'm really big on feeling, if you guys haven't noticed by all of my input. Like I could feel the stretch. I could feel the way that the speaker was reaching and staying calm, and then I felt the rush, and then the disappointment of here or not, or and then just kind of like the calm down to just do it all over again tomorrow. And I feel like that it was very well written. It was very, very like feeling centric, like you could feel all the way through it. And then I kind of wrote down this I reach for stillness, and then a little bit later you said, and then I rush. And I just, that was just powerful to me.
Yeah, that's like I could put myself again in those shoes too. When it's not summer vacation, you know, you're like, oh, I want that that moment. But no, I have to rush and get on with my day. Very good. Cassie.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. And I also felt like, you mentioned it was from a while ago, like right after you got married. And I really like that it feels like it's a very good documentation of like a point in time in your life, how you might have felt that way. And so I think it's really cool to like, as you or anybody to like revisit something like this and see if you still feel that way and still see what's changed and what's the same. And I really like that as a point in time poem to like capture how you feel about like your situation at that time. So I really liked it for that point. Like you can tell that it was written as a release, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Bayana.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone's saying. I feel like it was super relatable, especially that moment where you're like trying to just take that moment to yourself before things start to kind of happen. And then like not getting it, like I felt that. But yeah, I really, really liked it.
Very good. Amanda.
Whew, too real. I'm about maybe a month, maybe less, of my boyfriend moving in here, and I've been excited, but now that this is happening during a pandemic and we're both going to be like home 24/7, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be a fun. Like, I'm still excited, but I've been low key feeling everything you just said in that poem. I'm like, oh no, this is just gonna be fine. But yes, I also was a fan of just the cadence and how it was like easy starting and then picked up, and the language you use, like even the words got like quicker and like harsher sounding.
Yeah.
So yes, it's very, very feels evoking.
Very good. Yes, it evokes the feels. Lindsay.
Yes, I agree with everything everybody else has said. I feel like it was really powerful. And everybody else is saying maybe that's in part because it's so relatable, but not just relatable like in topic, but in your actual way of expressing it and laying this out. I agree with everybody, what others have said, that like this idea of like reaching for stillness in contrast with the busyness, and the way that you sort of change the rhythm and the cadence of the poem as you go along is super effective. I feel like it's really like it's very engaging and approachable as a poem, which I like. I feel like it really takes a topic that like is very everyday to us and kind of elevates it on some level, by really capturing it in the beauty of these words and the rhythms that you're putting forward. So I think it's fantastic. And I'm going to head out, unfortunately, because I'm going to get ready for my panel, which is in a few minutes. So, but thank you guys so much for letting me stop in and say hello. I hope we can do it again.
Yes, thank you for participating, Lindsay. Good to see you.
Well, thank you all. Yeah, it's been a while since I wrote that one, and it was definitely like a stressful time, and I'm glad that it kind of conveyed that, like, just the feelings that were going on. I seem to come at poetry from this perspective of like a specific, like almost like a dialogue. I don't know how to express it any more than that, but like as if this person is like talking to someone about what's going on.
I like that too. I think that so many times, like when we write poems, we want to tell things.
Mm-hmm.
But in, creating dialogue, I think that creates a deep and sort of multifaceted poem as well. So Cassie.
No, I'm gonna. So it's getting like close to the time, but that's okay. Thanks, though.
Okay. I didn't know if we had until 7 or till 7:30.
So the next event does start at 7.
Okay, so very good. So it seems like we have made good time. I don't know. Let's see if we can do like a minute of golden lines. So this will be just again that exercise in listening to one another. You've got your piece of paper down with things that you wrote on it that, you know, like images or lines that you liked. And if someone steps on someone else, don't worry about that. You know, just try to like create the poetry or create the music as we go. Sound good?
Okay.
Okay. So I'll start. How many times did you pray?
A drowned shipwreck slowly surfacing.
Always remember to never forget.
Consequences fade to the stars.
Knowledge can be painful. Oh.
You're good. This is how it goes. I see you.
Staring meaningfully at nothing.
I reach for stillness.
A low hum laces under her words.
Here or not?
I am a concertina for one.
Okay, guys, that's been about a minute. So this is an opportunity in creating this sort of improvisational poem to hear your lines sort of echoed back within other people. So you can see things that have been meaningful to them. And, you know, for me, whenever I do Golden Lines, it's really helpful because I get to hear that as well. Just want to leave you before the next panel with a quote from Gloria Anzaldúa. I love that you have all been writing today and you've all been sharing. And she said, write with your eyes like painters, with your ears like musicians, with your feet like dancers. You are the truth sayer with quill and torch. Write with your tongues of fire. Don't let the pen banish you from yourself. Don't let the ink coagulate in your pens. Don't let the censor snuff out the spark, nor the gags muffle your voice. Put your shit on the paper.